that I will stick by the people and I will be for the people because I'm of the people. I'm a product of the people. And me jumping over the gate at Parliament was just a reflex action. I just found myself on the other side because that is where I belong. I said that at this time, a line was drawn. A gate was between me. Either I chose to be with the oppressors or to be with the oppressed.
Do you think that the government of today is an oppressive government?
Very oppressive, and they need to change tact. They need to be tactful. And I want to tell you that tact means that there's a pope who used to say that every morning when I wake up, I must greet the devil. That is tact. Tact means that God has an opportunity to destroy the devil and nobody will ever sin. But he leaves the devil tactfully so that you and I can sin and go back to God. That is tact. Tact means that when you are driving and there's a car ahead of you, you have a right to overtake that car. But if there's an oncoming vehicle, another car oncoming, you will definitely crash and you will die. So you are right to overtake, but you are dead right. So you don't have to be dead right. You just buy time, let the other car pass, and then you overtake. The government is not tactful. The government has decided to be very oppressive, introducing so many things that are destroying the lives, from introduction of the new funding model, to punitive taxes, to high cost of living, to lack of jobs, to abductions. When we do all these things, we bring them once at a go. To even this issue that we keep on singing about, the housing, and we will discuss it to detail. In economics, housing is a private good, not a public good. It is not the work of the government to provide a public good, but to create an enabling environment for people to provide private goods for themselves. So to me, they've been blundering, making a mistake after the other. And I want to tell you that too much cruelty breeds hatred. And clearly, there's too much anger, there's too much cruelty, there's too much hatred towards the government.
Babu, I have a question.
Yes.
Kindly just take us back to last year, because tomorrow, 1 year on since the revolt, it seems to me, 1 year later, we are living in two different spaces. So if the political class, their language, their mannerisms, their demeanor, their statements, they sort of live in this world and this space of denial. And then you have the rest of the country on one side. This is 1 year later, and a lot has happened since then. Like you said, we've had extrajudicial killings, abductions, civil rights groups have been talking about, everybody's been talking about this. But take us back to last year, right before you jumped the fence. What was the mood like? What was the space within Parliament like? What was the space you were sharing with your colleagues? What were the conversations? Because I know the question then was the finance bill. But devoid of all that, just the mood of the country and the reason why the Gen Zs were going to the street. Did anybody really care? Did anybody really think, let's pay attention to this, let's listen to what's going on, before we started seeing MPs fleeing Parliament buildings? What was it like?
You know, Dennis, the mood in Parliament was inversely proportional to the mood in the streets. People in the streets were fighting for a just cause. Majority of the people in Parliament were singing the voices of their bosses. And the bosses from the executive were like, pass the finance bill. We want to sign it into an act. We want to punish Kenyans. Leaders are living in a bubble in this country. We should not forget that these positions are temporary positions. Before Babu was a member of parliament, there was a member of parliament in that constituency. After Babu, there will be a member of parliament in that constituency. This position of leadership is about others. It's about being a servant. He who must lead must first of all agree to serve. That says the Bible. Therefore, as a servant of the people, you should not treat yourself as the boss of the people. You are not the boss. You are the servant of the people, because leadership is rare. It comes from God. And when God gives you an opportunity, you have to serve, lest you be punished like some leaders in the Bible. You remember King Saul. King Saul was very popular, given God's grace. But the moment he became arrogant, the moment he became proud, the moment he stopped listening to God, another king came into place, King David. And I want to urge leaders that a lot can happen Remember King Uzziah. The same thing about pride. Leaders must be humble. The moment you're in that position, know that time is moving. You need to change lives and change lives for the better. And I want
But did they learn? Did your colleagues in Parliament, with the events of last year, 1 year later, is there any lesson that has been learned? Is there any reflection? Is there any looking back? Like, let's listen to what the country is saying. Let's feel the pulse of the country. This is what they're really asking. Is there anything like that going on in Parliament?
There are those leaders who are pro-people. There are those leaders who are adamant and they are behaving like Pharaoh. And you know, when God wants to destroy you, he makes your heart tough first so that he sets you up against the people. And when God told Moses, you go, I will deliver my people from the bondage. Just go. What do you have? Just a stick. I hear the government always keeps asking that, what do they have? Moses only had a stick and delivered Israelites from the bondage. And God at the same time said, I will harden Pharaoh's heart not to release you. And that is what is happening in Parliament. People have become pharaohs in Parliament.
Babu.
And I want to assure you that that kind of reaction is not good at all for the Kenyan citizens. In Parliament, as you said, there are those who are hell-bent that we will not change. This is the direction that we are taking. But there are those that have changed and are thinking for the future. There are those who are human. There are those who are small gods in that Parliament. But I want to tell them that time is coming where even those gods shall be destroyed.
Babu, we live at a time when tomorrow is the commemoration of 1 year since the Gen Z demos happened. And we have seen how other demonstrations as early as last week, what happened and the killings that continue to happen, police brutality continues to be there. And people are asking, what's the situation gonna be like tomorrow? And that is not so clear. And we also hear statements being made by the political class. William Kamket, the statement he made, allegations that Governor Sakaja sent goons to deal with protesters. And it seems as though the political class is hell-bent in fighting the people. Where do you sit with that?
My brother Seto, it is quite unfortunate in this country that a government is at war with its people. A government that should change the lives of the people has decided to attack the people. Last week, what we saw goons in the streets. We saw goons looting. We saw goons attacking people, assaulting people, stealing from people. We saw goons protecting their masters. And we saw those goons being given security by the state. The allegations about the governor of Nairobi, that is the one who brought the goons. And the goons themselves confessed. There's a goon who was beaten almost to death, and he was saying that he's been sent by the governor. And at the same time, the governor was at Kamagut, somewhere in Tarbo. In Uasin Gishu, the governor said clearly that the other demo you caught as unaware, and I quote verbatim, you caught as unaware. This time round, we are prepared. I'm warning you. If you come to town, you will find me there. We will deal with you. This is a governor who campaigned on a siasa safi in policy initiative, or rather slogan. But this is a governor that whatever he touches turns into garbage. This is a governor that was elected right from 2007 when he worked for Kibaki, worked with a fake degree. When he was nominated in 2013 as a member of parliament, nominated with a fake degree. In 2017, elected as a senator with a fake degree.
Are these allegations?
In 2022, elected as a governor with a fake degree. It is in the public domain. And this is a governor that is working with a fake degree. That's why everything that he touches turns into garbage. If he touches Nairobi, Nairobi has turned into garbage. He even takes garbage to go and pour at Steamer Plaza. That tells you what kind of a brain that our governor has. Dennis, when you saw those goons, it was clearly communicating that we've gone low. We've gone low because the people that we promised to give jobs, the people that we promised to give bursaries, the people that we promised to promote their businesses, the people that we promised to work for, we are now working against. We are now attacking them. in Nairobi, a capital city. It was a shame, and we should condemn it, and the governor should be arrested.
What would you? One would hope that NCIC and other investigative agencies would have moved in to have all these individuals record statements and investigations commenced. But seems as though there is some silence. Is there any trust or hope that these bodies would work?
These bodies are not independent anymore. These bodies are dependent. They are depending on the executive. And these bodies act on instructions and political instructions just to deal with those in opposition. Those in government, none of these goons have been arrested so far. These goons are still there. None is even saying that these goons should be dealt with. And we don't know what may happen tomorrow. And tomorrow, I hear that they might bring the goons back. But this time round, they want the goons to loot so that the police to keep off, the goons to loot, so that they play into the public gallery and get the sympathy. And so I want to urge Gen Zs that as you are always organized, be organized the way that you are. I know some people are planning to antagonize, but be organized. Just keep an eye to the ball. Never lose the sight of a gazelle for a dashing squirrel. Just keep focused. The moment you are focused, even if these goons come, isolate them and keep focused to what you want to achieve, because the government wants to achieve a different agenda altogether.
What surprises me is that this is so not we are surprised that it seems abnormal, that we lost the opportunity to be shocked that this kind of impunity that we see, whether it's alleged or true, did not start with the protests in June 2024. That we have seen where there has been sanitizing of terrible behavior across line, that extrajudicial killings and abductions and corruption and all of those things did not start with the protests last year where people were killed. That we have seen that there has been an agreement of a lot of these things coming straight from the House of Parliament. That there has been laundering of behavior and it has been seen to come forth as gold. And then now we are surprised when somebody can actually invite goons into a peaceful protest. We shouldn't be surprised, Babu. We shouldn't be surprised. Parliament has failed the people of Kenya over and over and over again. That there have been supposed laws that have been passed by Parliament which are directly against the people. How can that happen in the House? And then we come into the street and condemn the things that are happening to people. It's the same thing. If we were to put on a balance, the lady who holds both, the justice lady, it would be balanced. Because the same atrocities happen in the House. It's just dressed up in a suit. But in the street, it's holding a machete. There's no difference.
We completely don't have a parliament as we speak. Because parliament is supposed to be independent. Parliament is supposed to oversight. Parliament is supposed to represent. Parliament is supposed to legislate. Parliament is making laws that are individual based, laws that are going to please an individual. We have to make laws for posterity, laws for the future, laws for our future children. But the laws that we are making are laws that are going to impress those in power. So Parliament is dependent, not independent. And all these problems are coming from Parliament. Because if we had a serious Parliament, we would not even be in this debt crisis in this country. If we had a serious Parliament, we would not have these punitive taxes that Kenyans are demonstrating against. And if you see that some members of Parliament are coming out in public to say that you attack these people, these are voters. These are our people. Why don't we listen to their cries? Why don't we sit down? If God himself says, my children, come, let us sit and let us compare notes. Why can't we sit down as human beings? Why can't we just say that these people have challenges? We were elected as leaders. We know there will be challenges. We don't treat them as problems without solutions. We treat them as challenges and look for solutions. Only that. There is no any person who is a mad person who will go in the streets if some of these challenges are solved. But you have the solutions and you still want to take law into your hands and then destroy those who elected you. Then who will you have? You know, when Dennis, when we remember the Montevideo conference, it talked about a state. And it stated clearly that for a state to exist, there must be a few factors into consideration. That a state must have an existing government. That a state must have a definite territory. And lastly, that a state must have the people. If you finish the people, you will not have a state. If you finish the people, you as a leader, who will you have to lead? These people are crying. It's just a simple cry. They are saying that we can't pay fees. It's too much for us. Please reduce it. Why don't you just do so? They are saying that there's high cost of living. We can't afford this. Why are you doing so? They are saying that this house that you are deducting 2.75%, you are deducting this amount of money from my slip, it is reducing my disposable income. And therefore, I cannot manage my bills by the end of the month. I cannot do anything. Just remove this. Why don't you just do that? The juice becomes worth the squeeze, right? The moment you just help the people and protect their inherent interests.
But Babu, the accusation is this is all coming from government. Your party is in this same government. From a party standpoint, and talking to your colleagues from your party, with all these things going on, is there any reflection going on? Why are they still part of what you would refer to as a government that is very punitive, as you called it earlier on? What's going on within your party?
Dennis, I will tell you that ODM is Orange Democratic Movement. The democratic part of it gives people like Babu a space to be democratically divergent in opinions, to have their own opinion, the democratic part of it. Those who are in government chose to be in government, I have not even read the cooperation between Ruto and Baba, between ODM and UDM.
But have you read the NADCO report?
I did read the NADCO report, and we were supposed to implement the NADCO report, but ever since it's under the table.
The NADCO report spoke about extrajudicial killings,
Yes.
talks about compensation,
Yes.
talked about youth employment,
Yes.
amongst other things.
Yes.
All these key things that touch on why the Gen Zs have been going to the streets, none of them are actually being addressed.
None has been implemented. And Dennis, I will not dwell so much into the party affairs because personally, even a sweeper in ODM is more powerful than me. Has more information than Babu Owino.
Why? Are you trying to say you've been knocked out?
So respectfully, I will stick with the people. I will leave party affairs to be addressed by the relevant party structure so that at least they can handle that, so that I don't go so much into it. But however, there are certain things that I read into that were enshrined in the NADCO report that should be implemented. Yes.
Is there hope that the political class will finally listen to the Mwananchi, the person who's donated the power? Because then again, the Constitution says the power belongs to the people. The leadership of the country pretty much enjoys donated power. Yet look at every other turn, every other corner that you take, looks as though the leadership class, especially those in parliament, seem to be singing the choir master's song and not listening to the people and singing the song that the people want them to sing. Is there hope that Parliament will finally listen and act right?
We should not have hope that leaders should listen to the people. Leaders should listen, not hoping. We should not hope that they will one day. They should. They were elected to listen to the people. And I told you, listening brings response. Hearing brings reaction. They are just hearing. They are not listening. And I urge leaders in Parliament, at the county level, at the executive level, we were elected to serve. Let us serve. You might not do 100%, but do above 50%, you shall have succeeded. It is above the pass mark. It will transform lives. It will change lives. We should not hope that they will listen. We should not beg leaders to work. Leaders were elected to work. Themselves, they were giving promises while they were campaigning that they will do 1, 2, 3. Let them stick to that. Let them deliver. We should not turn against our people. A leader who turns against his people is a bad leader, is a leader who should never be re-elected, is a leader who should not even ask for any seat, seek for any seat, is a leader who should ask for forgiveness.
Babu, as we get towards tomorrow, the mood in the country is that of fear. Kenyans want to rightfully so exercise their right to demonstrate, to picket, and equally just raise petitions. But no one is sure, first of all, of their security. This is based off what they've seen, police brutality, and how they've been attacked. There is also the statements that are coming from the leaders out there, from where it is you sit and the mood in the country. What is the assurance that everything will happen and act as per the law tomorrow?
The Constitution protects every Kenyan citizen who peaceably pickets, demonstrates, presents petitions. The Constitution itself is the apex of the law. There is no any other bigger law than the Constitution. President is not bigger than the Constitution. No one is bigger, no member of parliament, no governor, no leader is bigger than the Constitution. Not even wananchi is bigger than the Constitution. The Constitution is the apex of the law and protects the right to picket in Article 37. Therefore, people will be scared. There will be a lot of fear-mongering. But I want to urge the people to stick eyes on the ball. I know that the only person who can fear is a person who has something to lose. These people have nothing to lose. These people have no jobs. These people have no fees. These people have no food. So therefore, they have nothing to lose. The only thing that they have to lose are the chains that are tying their minds. But I want to tell you, even with the fear, change must come.
Do you think that these protests that happened last year bore fruit that we can get seeds from to plant again? Do you think that there was something that moved the needle as a result of the protests?
Because people are still crying, it means that there is no significant change. Because people are still in the streets, it means that there is no significant change. Tomorrow, people are going to mourn their loved ones, to be in solidarity with the victims who are extrajudicially terminated or maimed. Tomorrow, they are going in the streets to cry about unemployment, to cry about high cost of living, to cry about high taxation, to cry about high cost of education. That is what they are going to do. Today, if the executive comes out, the president comes out and says that my sons and daughters, I've heard you. These challenges that you're having, I want to solve them and to solve them in this way. And this is the example that I will use to solve them. Do you think there will be protest? And he ensures that they are solved. We have solutions, but we don't want to give solutions. We just want to see people in the streets.
I mean, Babu, let's talk about the civic space. You once led many protests as Sonu chair,
yes,
at the university.
Yes.
What changed? What changed between your generation of activism or activists and what you now see today as the Gen Z's activism? Do you see a change in that space?
When I was at the university, we were demonstrating, and demonstrating rightfully for the right cause. When help delayed, we went on the streets so that help could be released. And any student who didn't have help could not go to class because there was no money for fees. Without help, you could not get accommodation because you didn't have money to pay for the rent. Without help, you couldn't get food. Without help, you couldn't even get transport to come from the village all the way to town. You had to borrow. And if help delayed, Babu could take students to the streets. And that was a very just cause. If the time Professor Kaimenyi wanted to increase university fees, he was the then Education Cabinet Secretary, Minister. When he wanted to increase education fees, Babu said, enough is enough. We can't do this. There was demonstrations across the country in all the universities, and the government kept off. It was a just cause. In case of any insecurity in the country, we were fighting for this so that the government could provide security to students. It is an exact replica of what the Gen Zs are doing. The Gen Zs have come out and said enough is enough. Opposition is in bed with the government, and therefore we must fight for ourselves because there is nobody else who will fight for us. And they've ensured that they are keeping the government in check through the doctrine of separation of powers, checks and balances, which was opined by a great man called Charles Louis de Montesquieu, the Baron, in France in the 1950s, around 1957. If then there was that doctrine to keep checks and balances on this government, what about now? That is what the Gen Zs are doing. The Gen Zs are within their rightful position to keep checks and balances on the excesses of the government. And therefore, the similarity between my demonstrations at the university and the Gen Z's demonstrations is that we are both advocating for the rights of the people. We are both ensuring, I was ensuring that I was fighting for the rights of students. The Gen Z's are ensuring that they are fighting for their own rights. That is the similarity. And the difference is almost the same.
Although you may argue, back then in your days, people can say there was also a lot of heavy influence from the political class then. And you look at the protests we have now, the Gen Zs are saying they don't want politicians involved in their just cause. They want to go do it alone. And the disappointing thing amongst many is even at the time when they were really fighting to have young leadership, youthful faces in parliament, in positions of government, they've ended up being even more disappointed because the very outspoken ones are not even the older members of parliament, for example. It's actually the very youthful members of parliament. You look at the quality of debate in the National Assembly. Again, disappointments there where you would then expect that there is debate that really touch on very young people. Just from your point of view, because you're a young legislator, is there hope to having young leaders then if in the past, all these disappointments pointing into the future, we keep saying we want fresh faces, we want fresh blood. But the same people get into positions of power again are the ones who lead into these kind of things that we're seeing in the papers today.
You know, Dennis, when you become greedy, your vision becomes blurry. Greed blurs vision. And the greed that is among some of the leaders, some of the young leaders, youthful leaders, some of them is not good because they are compromised already and their vision becomes blurry. And I always say, that a woman who falls for a man with a television and leaves a man with a vision will soon see the man with the vision in her husband's television. You've heard that?
I got it.
Yes, a man who falls for money or a woman who falls for money and leaves a vision, that person is completely destroyed. That vision becomes blurry. However, there's hope, Dennis. A youthful leader like Babu Owino was ranked as the best member of parliament in this country, InfoTrack research. Performed as the best in terms of development track record. When you go to Embakasi East, when you take your call and call any member of Embakasi East constituency, they will tell you that Babu has been working. Matters education, matters security, matters roads, matters bursaries, matters water. Babu has worked. And there are those leaders who are also working. We have the likes of Ndindi. It's really trying. We have leaders who are trying. However, there are leaders who are youthful but are not working. So I want to say that Kenyans have an opportunity to replace such leaders in 2027.
But are you then saying, Babu, because the example you've just given, and we've seen this in the country through every election cycle, at the level of MCA or even a member of parliament, they will always do good. They will be the best. They will rank among the best. The moment they just go a step higher to a higher position, for example, the office of the governor, suddenly things change. Right now, there's a conversation of, it's an unbelievable conversation of people who Kenyans trusted. People put their trust in some of these leaders, very smart people, but all of a sudden they change 360 turn. With all the good intentions and their good, very good, rich history, they get. What happens when people? You've talked about greed, but what exactly happens when then you get to that level? Because I know you want to be governor of Nairobi at some point, right? What happens when you get there, and then Babu changes because you have got this good track record, like you're saying, but then the moment you get there, beyond greed, is it also a question of capture?
You know, Dennis, power and money don't change a person. Power and money brings out who you are, reveals who you are. If you are born bad, power and money makes you worst. If you are born good, power and money makes you better or best. So it reveals who you are, because it only provides a bigger position, provides a bigger environment to make you that bad person, who you are, or that better person, who you are. Babu Owino having been a member of parliament, since Sonu days you heard that Babu was talking, was working. Babu was swinging, not just singing, was busy working, and people will tell you that during the days, Babu could fight for students. When Babu was elected as a member of parliament, you can hear, and you even saw, Babu being ranked as the best member of parliament in Kenya out of the 290 members of parliament, while in opposition. Then it tells you that when Babu is given a bigger position, Babu only needs a bigger position to bake a bigger cake for everybody to eat.
Not to eat the cake yourself.
A bigger cake for everybody to eat, not just for me.
Yeah.
And that tells you that my interest as a leader, when I was in Nyalenda slums, my mom raised me while selling changa. Dennis, today, a child in Kibera, a child in Madare, a child in Roysambu, if they tell me that they are going without food, I know what it is to go without food, because I lacked food at some point. I slept without food. If a parent tells me today that a child has been sent away from school because of fees, I lacked fees at some point, and I know what it is to lack fees. And when I left Nyalenda, coming to Nairobi, I came to Nairobi with one agenda. And I prayed to Almighty God that every day, when you remove me from these slums, from Nyalenda slums, I will never forget about your people. And I have a covenant with God not to forget about his people, because I know it is God who removed me from that slums. From the slums and any slums in this country, it's not easy to come out. You may have even a degree, but you still go back to the slums. But if you come out from it, it is just the work of the Almighty God. And therefore, I know also that these positions are temporary. I know, Dennis, that today you find me as a member of parliament. Tomorrow you see me as a governor. The day after that, you see me as a president. Then after that, again, I know, very well conversant, that you will see me also as a person who has served and gone. We had Kibaki, left. We had Moi, left, very powerful. We had Kibaki, left. We had Uhuru the other day, left. We have William, he will leave. So by the end of the day, these positions are temporary. The question is, what legacy do you want to leave behind? A legacy of destruction or a legacy of change for the better?
When you talk about legacy, there is the House of Parliament where you currently sit, and one would hope that questions would be brought there, talk about petitions, even just following up on the Gen Z protest that happened, and nothing seems to be happening in that House. There is the other subject of Parliament has been captured, but on an individual position as Babu Owino and the other leaders of like mind that you are with in the House, I mean, why aren't we seeing any moves or movement in terms of just bringing those who committed these atrocities to these young people to account?
As we all agree that Parliament has been captured. And I want to tell you that many are called, a few are chosen. Many will be called. Many are called in Parliament. But a few, like Babu Owino, are chosen, and are chosen to do the right thing, are chosen to work for the people, are chosen to advocate for justice. And I will continue speaking. It might be one voice, but in the beginning, there was the Word. And the Word was with God. And the Word was God. In the beginning, we don't have to be the majority. But one person with God is the majority. We will speak.
But that
we
majority,
will speak on behalf of the people.
That majority of people are they're all in one place, and they're represented by the same needs. That I think a lot of people are still in shock that people can be killed in such a brutal manner. Yes, we are seeing yet another young man has been abducted. We don't know where Wahome Thuku is. that somebody can be protesting in the streets of Nairobi and shot. He's still fighting for his life in hospital. And that the death of Albert Ojwang, maybe somebody wants to sweep it under the carpet, but it's still very fresh in our minds. That I think the shock is that such brutal things can happen, and that we're okay waking up every morning and going about business as usual. And we have legislators in place, we have a government in place, and these things are almost normal. And it's almost as though we are waiting for the next one to happen. It sounds so uncomfortable to say, but people are waiting for death and destruction and violence to happen tomorrow so that we can say, okay, how do we deal with it? How are we comfortable operating in such a space? And we have legislation in place, and people sit there 3 times a week, twice a week they go to their constituencies. I'm not blaming anybody, and it's all collective effort, but how have we gotten so comfortable to the place whereby such suffering comes and we wait for the next one?
You know, it is sad, it is very sad, Ndu, that the people that we entrust with our lives and our properties to protect them are the same people who are responsible for taking the lives and also taking the property. You saw some police officers stealing laptops. Clearly, this is a situation where you give a hyena a proposal to write on how to keep the goats. The hyena will write a proposal on how to eat the goats instead. We have Albert Ojwang, who died in under very unfortunate circumstances. Albert Ojwang, the dad said clearly that he was mining stones, kokoto, ballast, for many years, just to educate Albert, being the only child. The dad did everything that they could do, and there are so many parents outside there who wake up very early in the morning, going to sell mboga, going to ride boda, going from Jengo, going to lima people's shambas every morning with an intention to pay school fees, with an intention to bring food on the table, with an intention that this child that is being educated will one day transform their lives. Then after educating a child, goes to the university, there is no job, hopelessness. Or succeeds to get a job like Albert and now should help the parents. Then the police officer comes, identifies them, they identified themselves, procedurally followed every procedure that should be followed. Then takes Albert away, brings Albert to Nairobi to kill Albert in a police cell. How unfortunate, how sad. To add salt into this injury, from the frying pan into the fire, is that when people are going to seek for justice in the streets, a police officer again shoots with an intention to kill another young man whose only mistake was to sell masks. Do you know what it is to go in the streets during demonstrations with tear gas and risking lives?
Are you going to be there tomorrow, by the way?
And risking life, I'll explain that. And risking life just for you to sell a mask to take food home. It is quite unfortunate. It is so sad. About the issue of tomorrow, Gen Zs are very organized. Very, very organized. You stated clearly here, the Gen Zs, I don't want to take advantage of the Gen Z's protests. And they said clearly, we don't want politicians to take advantage of our protests.
Yeah.
I'm an advocate of the High Court. I know that some may be arrested. I will be there for them in the police stations. When some will be taken to hospitals, I will move around to check them. But they are very organized group that knows what they want to achieve.
Okay.
Member of Parliament for Embakasi East.
And I'm in support of what they're doing tomorrow. 101% supporting the Gen Zs.
Babu Owino, thank you for being here this morning. I mean, these conversations, sometimes we have a cliffhanger. They don't end. We keep talking about them, necessary for us to keep certain things front and center. So thank you for being here with us this morning, and we look forward to the next time we can speak with you.
Thank you so much, Ndu. Thank you so much, Deno. Thank you so much, Aseto. May God bless you all. May God bless this nation. we are at a blink of destruction, but we would rather destroy and build afresh rather than build but build wrongly.
Asante Sana. Good
Asante.
morning at 8:02.